I think I'm on. Am I on? Should be on. There we go. Oh, that's gonna be loud. Alrighty. That is not what I wanted. Alright. I'm trying to use my phone to look at chat here, but I don't see. There's nobody in here right now, but usually somebody pops in. We'll wait a moment. See if anybody shows up. Probably not, but you never know. Let's go ahead and title the document here. I'm using LibreOffice for the first time. I never used this. Let's go ahead and do 24. Double for titles. This is what we're doing. Please forgive any misspellings. Here, let me see if the spell check is working. It works. So I'll have instant feedback on when I'm an idiot. It'll be underlined in red. Yeah, a couple viewers showing up. So as the title suggests, I need to create a random hex generator for a hex crawl game, a solo hex crawl game of D&D. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go through it on stream. It's going to be boring. It's going to be me chatting a lot. If anybody shows up, I can, and wants to chat, I got my phone here so I can monitor chat, but I don't expect many people to show up. But in any event, what we're doing is we're creating a random hex generator. So, I've already kind of been brainstorming this today. Yeah, set up my desk here. And what I've got so far is my idea is to... here, can I bring up multiple... Probably not. I could probably bring up multiple instances. Here, let me bring up Notepad as well. Get a new text document so I can write notes down as I go. Where is it? Okay, let's see here. Okay, so now we got a beautiful. Let's get that up on. Let's get that up on OBS here. See if we can find the. There it is. That's good. All right, so here is. Now the problem I'm gonna have is. Let's see if I can do it like this. Probably not. We'll try it though. Okay, there's that. That looks good. Let's shrink it down a tad. And then underneath, all we need is note taking on the side here. Alright, going to OBS. Oh, looks good. Can actually make it a bit bigger. Alright, there we are. I still have 2 viewers, miraculously. Somebody's watching me fumble over this. Alright, so random hex generator. Here's my idea. Is we've got categories. Basically, the hex that you move into is going to be based off of the hex you're coming from. That way you don't go from, for instance, if I had tables that included everything, you don't go from a jungle to a desert in one hex. It should, in theory, sort of go gradual. So my idea was, I've got categories of what's going to be in a hex, and let's write it down over here. Hex components. Equal. Oop, that's a plus. Equals. We have elevation. We'll have vegetation. And forgive my misspellings, which will appear frequently. We're going to have water. And we will have civilization. Alright, so within each of those categories, the idea will be, let's take elevation, for instance. So we have depression. Then we'll have plains. I didn't capitalize these, but that doesn't matter. Moving from plains into hills. Capitalize that one. And then from hills into mountains, for instance. So, we have 4. I might be able to figure out some others as well. But the idea will be, let's see if we can... So the idea here is, for instance, we have... So let's write down up here. Roll 1d100. And then a see, what I want to do is assign each of these a numerical value. How am I going to do this? So basically, I want it, if you're in a depression, you would add to the dice roll, the D100 roll, or subtract, we'll say. So we'd say 0 to 10, and then 11 to 50. I just got to write this out, and then maybe I can puzzle it out in my head. Actually, let's go 60. And 90, and then 91 to 100. All right, so we have our roll. So you make your, you know what? I should probably get a random dice generator. I gotta get a dice roller, and then I can actually roll it on screen here. All right, so now I need to assign these values as well. So if you're in a depression, you'd get minus 20 to roll. If you're in a plains, you'd get minus 10 to roll. Maybe minus 0. So we'll say no change. And we'll say in hills you get plus 10 to roll. And then in mountains you get plus 20. Alright, so the way this would work is say I'm in a hex that's a depression. When I move to the next hex, I'm going to roll for elevation, and depending on where I'm coming from, I'm going to add that modifier. So I'm in a depression and I'm moving to a plains, and say I roll a 32. I'll subtract 20 from that, that'll end up being a 12. I'll move from a depression to a plains. So that's kind of the idea of how I want to create the table. And then I'll have categories like this for each of those: elevation, vegetation, water, civilization. Probably going to do as well, I'm probably going to do wildlife, just to have an idea of what kind of wildlife I'll have here. So I think that's kind of how I want to create the tables. So, and I'm going to have to look it up, land formations as well, and see what else I can get. Basically, elevation, I can't think of anything other than depression, plains, hills, and mountains. I don't know what else to add there for land elevations. So that's a simple table. Yeah, so basically, we'll say you're in hills, you're in a hex in hills, and you move to the next hex coming from hills. You would roll. See, now the issue is, yeah, because it just matters where you're coming from, because the hexes are all going to be unknown. It's a hex crawl. So you move from hills into an unknown hex. You'd roll the percentiles, and you'd add 10 to the roll. And that basically, you're not going to go from hills to a depression. You're going to go from hills to plains, or more hills or mountains. So I'll fiddle with those numbers, but that's the idea. And the same thing will go with, we'll go for elevation as well, or sorry, vegetation. Yeah, forgive the spelling. So, vegetation. Alright, so for vegetation I had desert. I had sparse. Probably didn't spell that right. That doesn't look right, but that's what the notepad is for. Then I had grasslands. So basically we're trying to have a gradual. So you start at, we need a direction of movement for each table. So for elevation you need to go from depression to mountain. For vegetation we're going to need to go from desert to dense forest is the last entry. For water I'm going to go from dry to large rivers and lakes. And then, that way I can add a numerical value to each of the types that you're already there, and you can add that to your roll. And that should help to kind of gradually transform the land, at least as far as wildlife, water, vegetation, and elevation go. Civilization is going to be a whole separate type of table, but that'll get you the basic hex you're moving into. So let's go ahead and just finish this off real quick. I can always copy and paste this as well. So 4 from grasslands to light forest. And from light forest to dense forest. Now, if you're in whatever climate you're in, also will change what this is. So if you're in if you're already in a desert, for instance, that's the kind of climate you're in, or that's the overall terrain you're in. So you're doing like a Dark Sun campaign, and you're in desert. So sparse would be, a cactus here and there. Grasslands would be some desert bushes or whatever. Light forest would be a cactus field. You know what I mean? You would just apply whatever that means for whatever territory you're in. If you're in, let's see, elevation is elevation, but vegetation and wildlife would all depend upon where you are. But anyways, let's finish this up. So we only have dense forest. So if you're in a jungle, for instance, it wouldn't be a light forest, it'd be light jungle, or however you want to look at that. So tundra, wherever you happen to be. All right, so Okay. Should just use Notepad. This is working out all right. You know what? Let's increase the size of this. So it looks like I'm working here right now. Actually, it doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter. I can leave it small. All right, so I need to go negatives too. So negative 20, so that can be the lowest possible roll. And I shouldn't put a dash. I should write 2. So I won't confuse the and this would be 120. There we go. I could probably simplify this and use a D6 or something and make it even simpler. Or a D20. I just like D100. And that way I can keep it uniform throughout the entire document that I'll be doing here. Alright, so a desert, we'll just put 0 for now. 0 to 5. Deserts are not common. But if you're in a desert, you're probably staying in a desert. So we'll say 25. Oops. Then we want 6 to, we'll say 20. And we'll say a negative 10 to roll. We want 21 to 55, and I can change these numbers. Once we get the basics down for this, I can take a look at it, maybe roll some dice, see what we can create, and then adjust the numbers as needed. So we'll say no change. Lake Forest is 56. See, I think maybe I want forest to continue. I want forest to be the majority. Let's see here. So I can actually make this go up to 60. And then forest would be the majority. Yeah, alright, we'll do it that way. We'll say 81, no, 85. And we'll say plus 10. And then 86 to 100 for now. And we'll say plus 20. Let's change this to plus 20 as well. Alright, so you're coming from grasslands and you're moving into the next hex. You'd roll your D100. You know what? I will go with the dash, not the 2. It's counterintuitive. I tend to dash. Alright, to roll. Alright, so you're moving from grasslands into the next hex. You roll your D100. You're not going to add anything to it, so you should roll, for instance, 48 or whatever. You're going to end up in grasslands again. Say you're coming from a desert. See, but then deserts are going to be 1 in 25, or 25% to stay in a desert, which isn't very good. If the desert chances are only 0 to 5. So how about, to make that work, I think we got to go minus 50 to roll. Yeah, that'll work. So now, if you're in a desert, you're going to minus 50 to your roll. You can get 55% chance of getting in another desert tile. Or a desert hex. Yeah, that'll work. We could even go further than that. We could say 60 on that. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. There we go. What did I mess up? Did I mess something up? No. Yeah, we could go minus 60 on that roll. Then you got a 65% chance. And then we can actually do minus 30. So that way, if we do happen to get a sparse roll, we have a better chance of getting back into desert. Yeah, so if we go a little stronger on these vegetation rolls, that would make the most sense. So there we go. So now we're looking at -60 as the highest and plus 160. All right, there you go. So now you're in a desert, but then it's hard to get into a desert too, so that's good. So say you're in grasslands, the chances of you getting a desert hex is only 5% because there's no change to the roll. And then if you're in light forest, you're not going to go from forest to sparse. You can only go from forest to grasslands. Maybe I'll adjust that. See, this is a tough one. I'll say 25 and 50. And then I'll play around with that if it needs changing. But for now, we can at least start the campaign. Hopefully start it tomorrow. And with the way it's written. Alright, so there you go. So that's vegetation. Going from desert. Alright. Next we need to determine water. Alright. So we have dry as our first. And then 2 is, what did I have it written as? Springs, or hidden springs, or springs only. Call it springs only. And there'll be rules, there'll be asterisks and what have you for what these rules. So this is going to be, I'm going to tailor this towards 3rd edition. So, for instance, if you're in an area with springs only, you'd have to be able to find the springs. So to find water, for instance, in this hex, to refill your water skins, you're going to need to make a survival check. And there'll be a penalty because it's hard to find the water. And things like vegetation will affect getting lost. There'll be... I'll try to kind of tailor this towards 1st edition and 3rd edition if I can make that work somehow. We'll see. So we got springs only. Then we have small streams and ponds. This is just to set it up so I can quickly do that. There we go. Small streams and ponds, small rivers and lakes, and then large rivers and lakes. So with large rivers, so small rivers and lakes is going to be hex. It'll be contained within the hex for small rivers, for small streams and small ponds. So I won't need to actually draw that out on the map, or I can draw a little picture, but it doesn't. It won't go from hex to hex. A small lake won't go from one hex to another hex. It'll be contained within a hex. So then I need to come up with a way to extend large rivers and large lakes into the following hex. That was one thing I was considering. Same thing I got to do with roads, I think I had determined. I'm going to need a method to direct a road. And then I can also use hexes with a road in it to add for if there's going to be some sort of civilization. So that way civilizations would tend to pop up on roads rather than being there's just all of a sudden a hamlet in the middle of nowhere, but you know, how do you get there? So we'll get to that in a minute. So right now we're just determining So for there to be no water, that's a low roll. That's a 0 through 5 for sure. And we'll say that that's only a negative 10% to roll. And for springs only, we got 6 to, we'll say, 15. That'll be no change. Now we have an issue. We can apply a modifier for desert to this roll. So the previous table of desert vegetation will affect the water on this table. So I have to figure that rule out. But as far as water alone goes, as far as water alone, we'll do it like this. I want minor changes on this one. I don't want to go too crazy with it. So, small streams and ponds, I'd say be the most likely. And that'll be, what, plus 5? Plus 5 to roll. Yeah, and then small rivers and lakes. 51 to, we'll say, 75. That'll be plus, say, 10 to roll. Now with rivers and lakes, this we're going to need to carry over fairly strong. So we'll say 76 to 100, and that'll be, because if there's a river, there's gonna be a river at least exiting the hex somewhere. So maybe we can use a system of something like a river or a lake will have a random hex exit. Yes, that'll work. So that way you have a river going north to south. You'd have to determine the hex exit. Yeah, alright, so I'm going to write that down. Hex exit. I just need a way to terminate a lake. How can I terminate a lake? In order for it to... Well, I guess if I just keep going. And we'll probably use center. Here, let me write that note down. Let's do it up here. Use center of hex for river and road exit. Road exits. So rivers and roads will exit the center of the hex just to make it all work. So, and I need to determine hex exit for rivers, lakes, and roads eventually when I get to that part. And I think every settlement will have a... Every actual settlement will have a road. Could have multiple roads. And I can sort of use a dungeon generator style for that. Alright, well there we go. So that's water. Well now I have an issue of... Yes, basically it's sort of like the fertile river valleys. So no matter what, I got a river in the next hex. So you come across large rivers, they're gonna continue to be large rivers. So actually now what we can do is we can make this a lot higher. We can go 85 on that. Yeah, that's good. We can go 85 on that. Yeah, I like that. And we can keep the rest of it as is. So we want it to be rare to go, because otherwise the whole map is just going to be filled with rivers. If I don't make that a little harder to come by. Yeah, all right, we're good there. Alrighty, so next up we need to, and I'll come back to this, to determine, I want to do wildlife. Now this is a little harder. I haven't really thought about how I'm going to I haven't really thought about how I want to at least phrase this. So what we need to do is we need to determine the density of wildlife, essentially. The reason we want to determine that is if there's no civilization around and our characters need to hunt, they're going to need... I'm going to need to know what kind of game is available. So basically, wildlife and vegetation will have a major impact on survival checks, using 3rd edition rules. Survival checks for feeding the party if they're out of food. So let me go ahead and write that note down as well. I'm gonna keep track of my notes here. So vegetation and wildlife impact survival checks for foraging. That'll work. Okay. So, as far as notes go, we've got that. Now I need to determine wildlife. And I guess I can just go... I don't want to say barren. Barren would be good for a term for vegetation. Desolate? I don't know. How would you phrase a lack of wildlife? What would be the term for a lack of wildlife? Desolate. Yeah, I'll go desolate. That's good. We'll say that is 0 to... I'd say no wildlife would be a rarity. So we can go for that for now. So from desolate to... I don't want to use sparse because I use that. Desolate to... I mean, this might actually also be able to impact... Nah, I was going to say this could impact random encounter tables as well. Because I'm not going to have a hex. I'm not going to roll for an encounter per hex. I don't like that method. I like to go based on time, not hexes moved. So I'll have random encounter tables that are keyed to types of terrain, so hills or forests or whatever, and then I'll roll for encounters based on time rather than moving from a hex to one hex to another. Alright, so desolate, what would be the next step up from desolate? I don't want to use sparse, I already used sparse for vegetation. Desolate, and let's see here. Think, McFly. Desolate. Rare? What, rare? Scattered. Yeah, scattered works. That'll be 6 to, say 15, we'll say 20. Alright, scattered to, we'll say 5 categories, basically. No, it would be a normal amount of wildlife. What would you call that? Not habitable. Desolate, scattered. Average? Nah. Although the term average works in no matter where you are. So, average wildlife in a desert would be obviously less than in a jungle, but the term would work in both areas. Let's see here. I guess average. I can't think of another term there. Let's say 21 to 60. And we've got, oops. Average to I already used dense. Did I use dense? Yeah, I used it in the term forest. Dense forest. Overpopulated will be the last. Or populated, maybe? I don't know. Scattered, average, plentiful. Plentiful works. And plentiful will be 61. So the wildlife will be plentiful. And then we need the next. We could stop there. We could have 4 stages of wildlife. Will be sufficient. Although I have 5. See it. I could go 5 for elevation, and then if I can do 5 for wildlife, we've got a theme of 5 possibilities per. So what could I do? Hills, mountains. I could do low mountains and then high mountains. So your Rockies versus your Appalachian. I'll consider that. So plentiful will be 90. And then 5. We could do. Maybe I'll leave it as is. Yeah, we'll leave it as is for now. And we'll change this to. Right, and we'll say desolate. You'll get a -10 to roll. -5. Change. And then +10. Why am I in caps? Alright, well there you go. Okay, let me bring up my my mini camera here. And let's just do a quick. There you are. Let's get you up front and center. There we go. Let's move this over. I should just get a dice generator. Alright. So let's take a quick look at how this might work out as is. Alright, so we got our. Wasn't planning on rolling dice. I'm not prepared to roll dice. Alright, so let's say. So start in hills, grasslands, small rivers, with average wildlife. So that's where we're starting. So now we're going to roll. Bring the little closer here. There we go. So now we'll roll for elevation. We're in hills, so we're going to get plus 10 to the roll. That brings us to a 62. We're going to stay in hills. So we move from hills, and we're going to stay in hills. So the hills continue. Our vegetation is grasslands, which is no change to the dice roll. We go from grasslands. We're going to maintain grass. We're going to maintain grasslands. Yep. So the hills and the grasslands continue. Then we have small rivers, which is plus 10 to the roll. So at 25, we're at 35. So we go from small rivers to small streams and ponds. So the water table sort of takes a hit here. And then I'd say small rivers and lakes would be no problem finding water at all. No roll necessary. You'd just be able to fill your water skins wherever you'd like. I'd say with small streams and ponds, you might have to make a roll to find clean water. And then springs only, you would definitely have to make a roll to find water at a penalty. You'd have to actually find the spring. And then dry would be a very hard roll to find any water at all. But anyway, so we were in small rivers. So we add 10 to this roll. No, we already did that. So we got small streams and ponds. And then we have average wildlife, so there's no change to this roll. And then that would become a 70, what is that, 78? Can't see it. There it is. Well, that's a 78, so that brings us to plentiful. Which is weird that the water level drops off and the wildlife increases. But there you go. So we went from hills, grasslands, and small rivers and average wildlife to hills, grasslands, small streams, and plentiful wildlife. So that is an example of the going from hex to hex. That way I don't go from mountains to, from dense forest to a desert in the next hex. That will almost certainly never happen. Actually, it can happen. And I won't go from a massive lake to zero water. Yeah, that'll work out well. Okay. So we have the basics. And we need to... Let's get rid of that. Now we need civilizations. And again, ignore my... Hold on. There we go. Good enough. Ignore any spelling errors. Okay, so 1 will be none. Let's write them all out. 2 will be solitary. And I'm taking these cues off of the DMG for first edition. Is that what I took? Yeah, from the DMG first edition. Now, I'm not sure if I want these numbers to... Well, probably... So I think with this... Huh. Alright, yeah, I think I know how I want to run this. I still haven't determined a road. I'll have to figure out some way to generate a road within these tables. So we got from solitary to sparse. Did I already use sparse? I did. I used it for vegetation. Scattered. Did I use scattered too? I did. Used it for wildlife. So in my head I'm thinking like farmlands dotting the countryside sort of deal. We can go civilizations, solitary, scattered would have been good. Independent. I don't want to say farmsteads because then it locks it into being, farmsteads. That's not necessarily what the civilization will be. I guess I'll just... Scattered would have been the way to go. Yeah, we'll do scattered. For now. Till I come up with something better. Scattered, and now we're moving into actual Thorpe. This I'm using 3rd edition DMG stuff. So Thorpe to Hamlet. Hamlet to village? Yes. Oops. Village to town. There's small and large towns, but I won't. Town to city. Then there's small and large cities. So there's civilization. Now, the way that they do it... I might have to do D100 tables breaking down into D100 tables here. Here, I can have something. I can have determine hex exit. That can be universal. Put that up here under notes. Feature. Determine a hex exit for a feature. Roll. Let's see. So hexes have 6 eggs. So one of them's coming in at one point. Your entrance will be 1. So then you have 5 possible exits. So I'm thinking roll a d4 or a d6. 1, 2 being left back, left forward. Straight ahead will be 3, 4. And then 5, 6 will be right, the right side. Can't draw a picture of that, but... yeah, roll d6. 1 equals left rear. 2 equals left forward. 3 through 4 equals straight. And 5 equals right forward. And 6 equals right rear. Alright, so that'll give you a rule for hex exits. Chances are it's going to go straight, because I think things going straight seems natural. Yeah, alright, we're looking good there. If you can avoid a turn in a road, you'd avoid the turn. You're going to point the road generally in the direction you want to go, and the river will generally flow in the direction it's going to continue to flow. So I think that's acceptable. Alright, so now here we need to... So the first 4, the elevation through wildlife here, those may have a direct effect on the civilization roll. So 0 to... let's start at the top. 99 through 100. No, just 100. This will be 97. Nope. 98 through 99. This will be 97 through, this is kind of how I want to run this, 95 through 97. Uh, 95 through 97. Let's go with, so that's no good either. That's too much. I guess I can have an equal chance for Hamlet, Village, and Thorpe. Yeah, they can all be 3 each, I guess. That'd be 92 through 94. That'd be 89 through 91. This can be 80, let's say 87 through 88. Oops. This can be just 86. And this would be 0 through 85. So chances are you moving into a hex, there's going to be an 85% chance of no civilization at all. I'd like to make that even. I'd like to make that even less. Because then it's like 1 in 6 hexes. Not 1 in 6, but close to 1 in 6 hexes is going to have some sort of civilization. And I'm using 4-mile hexes. I'm gonna write that note as well. Because that will affect some things. Miles to a hex. I'm using 4 miles to a hex. Well, I don't need this anymore. Alrighty. View capture. You can get rid of you. Go back to this. We can move you back over. Alrighty. How can I change that role? I can have most. Alright, so actually, how about this? This makes more sense. So I can have no road in a hex be, if there's no road, there'll be a minus, a minus 5 to the roll. Yes, no road in a hex means minus 5 to the civilization roll. Then you can only ever get a village. But if there is a road, then there is no modifier. So then, if you're following a road for 24 miles, you're going to run. Actually, we can actually add. We can add something to that. No, we can't add. We can only subtract because I'm not going to have a city be more common by adding to this modifier. Yeah, so we can't add. We can only subtract from the roll. So a lack of a road will be a minus, maybe 10. Maybe minus 10 to the roll. Then you can only ever get Solitary Scattered or Thorpe. And then it's 1 in 20. Alright, so if you're just, minus 10. Alright, that sounds good. But then every single settlement from scattered to city will have Road exits. Yes, yes, yes. Let me write that down. Write that under notes. 6. All settlements will have road exits. Roads will have roads exiting. There we go. Now, can you just stumble upon... We can do that as a feature, because then I'm going to have hex components number 6 will be features. And features are going to be your ruins, your dungeons, your fortresses. I'll have roads be a feature you can come across. So that way, if you're just exploring the wilderness and you come across a road, then you could follow that road and probably come across civilization eventually. That works. All settlements will have roads exiting the hex. Roads will also appear on features. Okay, so there we go. So we got a bit of a system going here now. So then, this is where I'll do the asterisk. So for civilization, we have asterisk. And down here, asterisk equals no road is present in previous X. Subtract. Well, what was I going to say? Let's see. Subtract what from the roll? If we subtract 5, then we can get possibly, what, a 95 is our lowest, which is a village being. So you can come across the village if you're not on a road. Yeah, I'd say towns are pretty big. So yeah, we'll say subtract 5 from 1d100 roll. Alright, if no road is present in the previous hex, subtract 5 from 1d100 roll. So you won't just be traversing the wilderness and you happen upon a city or a town. That will not happen. So actually, I should probably change, because I have this roll D100 for all tables. I should probably change this to a D100 table for hex exit. And I can do that very easily. Actually, no, not very easily. I have five possibilities. So actually I can do that fairly easily. One through 15. 16 through 30. So then more like 31 through 70. And let's go to 20. But if I do 20, that's going to be too much. So yeah, we'll do it this way. 31 through 70. 71 to 85. And 86 to 100. There we go. That way I'm using a D100 for basically everything. Yeah. D100 for everything. Yeah, all right, all right. So now we need to determine features. Features. Now for features of a hex, I need to figure out how many features in a hex there'll be. So I'm thinking maybe we could key features off. We shouldn't key features off of anything. So I need to determine a number of features per hex. I would say there's a possibility of more than one. In a 4 mile hex, I'd say you could have more than one feature. You could have a dungeon and a fort within 4 miles of each other. How do I want to do that? Let's see here. First, let's do this. Might be a few features. Now, features is something I don't think I can... I could have... See, that doesn't really work either. I was going to say, depending on what the features are, I could have those... I could have previous tables affect the number of features. So my thinking is a D100 roll, I guess, on a table to generate number of features. I don't like that. I want to keep everything at a D100 though. But what I'd like to do is say roll a d10 and subtract 7 from the roll. And that's how many features will be in your hex. So then you basically have a 70% chance of having no feature. And then you can have 1, 2, or 3 features. But I can do that with a D100 roll just the same. Alright, so we'll do that. So number of features, we'll say that will be 1 through 80 equals 0. '81 through, so now we have 20. Nope, we'll do 70. 70% chance of no feature? No, 80% chance of no feature. Because we're not including civilization in this as well. So then, through 90 equals 1. 91 through... Yeah, 91 through 94 equals 2. Through 95 equals 2. 96 through 98 equals 3. Then 99 through 100 equals 4. Yep. So that's number of features. That you always roll per hex. You roll number of features. Then you would roll on a table. I don't like there be. I don't like 4 features. Seems a bit much. Let's go up here and go 85. And we'll go 86 through 95 is 1. And 96 through 98 is 2. Then 99 through 100 is 3. I like that better. Actually, I like this even better. Originally, I'll keep the 80. Go 81. So there's a 15% chance of 1 feature. That's better. And then there's 2 and 3. So anything above an 80 is going to give you a feature, and then it's just whatever, however many it ends up being. I think I like 15, 4, and 1. Which also has the added benefit of... Yep, there we go. So you roll for number of features, and then we need a features table. Features table. These can be... I haven't really mused on these at all. I know one of them is going to be a road. And caps locks. One of them's a road. Then I want a fortress. Yep. Then I want... Give me another features. Let me peruse the Dungeon Master's Guide First Edition for some inspiration. Check the back tables. Always gives me good inspiration. So it's a quick perusal. They have a random wilderness terrain generator, which kind of uses a similar method that I'm using. Ooh, marshes. How do I incorporate swamps? Swamps could be... I guess I could do large rivers and lakes, small rivers and lakes, so I have a percentage of containing a swamp. And then, I needed to do coastal as well. I guess I can use coastal as a feature. Not a feature, as a... How did I word it? Determine exit for a feature. Roll a D100. Alright, so... so coast could be a feature. Coast. That could be a feature. A way to come upon an ocean. This is gonna generate an entire I can generate an entire continent this way. We'll see. Let's see here. Ruin. Good old DMG giving me inspiration. Ruin. Dungeon. Castle. Castle. Random encounter with a castle. That'll be fun. Castle. So Ruin will be... This has another chart for Ruin as well. Let's see. Whoa. So Ruin will have a type. That'll be a separate D100 roll. That could be another table. What is the most likely way to encounter a road would be perpendicular. You're most likely to encounter a road. If you're wandering the wilderness, you're most likely to encounter a roll perpendicular. Because if you're paralleling it, you might not notice it for a long time. Until you would change direction. In which case you'd probably encounter it perpendicular. So, when encountering a road, we can use the same... See, I need to come up with a way for the... Like, if you're encountering a road on the features table, where's the road come in from? What point of the hex is the road coming in from? I guess that would depend on your location on the hex. Alright, we'll come back to that. Alright, so we got a castle, a ruin. Dungeon? I want to say dungeon. We're going to need more features. Caves. Caves is a feature. Alright, I am bidden to an errand. I will be back momentarily. Alright, we're back. I was tasked with taking the dogs out. Alrighty. Still no chatting. Oh well. Just not cool. Never was. I was never a social butterfly. Alright, so we have caves as a feature. We have ruins, and there'll be a category. We have castle and fortress. That could be anything. Maybe type of fortress? Castle being one of them. We could do that. Then we could have tower. We'll consider that. Let's see here. So we need more features. This isn't enough. So I'm thinking something like a statue or a shrine or something along those lines as a feature, like a happen upon like Mayan temple or something like that, you know. I guess that could go in for ruin. Something more that's just decorative sort of thing. Like a not a pyramid, because that served a function. That was a tomb. Like a massive statue or something. I guess what's the point of that? Other than I could just add those in. I don't need a hex generator to do that. Caves. I also want some sort of Underdark access. I guess I can just include that with caves. Yeah, we're gonna have the tippity tapping of dog claws on wooden floors here. Wife kicked the dogs out of the bedroom, so now they're gonna bug me instead. So we got roads, fortress, coast, ruin, I guess river. Coming upon a river. Yeah, river. Just like road. I also need to determine a rule that if a river, so for instance, if you're exploring one hex and then you take a loop and go to another hex and then go, and those two hexes that aren't connected to each other have rivers. For some reason you connect the rivers. I gotta say, if two separate rivers enter one hex, they become one river. Oh, I'll have to word that somehow. We also have to determine the flow of the river, which is important. I guess I'll just roll and see what happens. Hold on a sec. And I'm back. Sound like dogs are getting into trouble. Alright, we need more features. Got road, fortress, coast, ruin, castle, cave, river. So in my random encounter tables, I have things like battles. So maybe I could have battlefield as a feature. Let me go over my also natural feature. I need some sort of natural feature. Some sort of natural, like a waterfall or something like that. All right, what's it called? All right, so let's. Okay, so first we need natural wonder. That could be a subtable to that. That's your Grand Canyon or your Niagara Falls or things on other continents that I don't live on. Volcano. Yeah, alright. Then we want man-made wonders. Or crafted wonders, man-made wonders. How do I want to phrase that? Crafted wonders? I don't want to say man-made because this world is filled with elves and dwarves and shit, so... Man-made doesn't make sense. Could have been dwarven-made. Unnatural wonder? Here, ruin. Let me add some examples here. Village. I can't spell. Fortification. That looks right. Fortification. What other type of ruin is there? Could have ruined village, fortification. I'll say settlement. Settlement, fortification. What kind of ruins can there be? Wonder. Nah, because all wonders are going to be old. Settlement, fortification, etc. I guess. I'll come up with that later. Alright, so we'll say crafted wonder. And a crafted wonder would be massive statue. A massive statue. What else? There's a term for that. Like old massive statues, wonders. What's the term? Not obelisks. Alright, well anyways. Obelisk. Obelisk. Yeah, that looks right. Massive statue, obelisk. What else is a man-made wonder? Massive statue, an obelisk. What else is a crafted wonder? I don't know. Give it an etc. for now. Need more than that. Need more than that. What's another feature? Ancient battlefield. Alright. Yeah. Natural resource. Gold deposit. Etc. Give that an etc. as well. Alright, we got 11 features. We need more features. Where we need like sites of adventure. So we've got ruins and castles. Well, castles aren't sites of adventure. Those are usually occupied. We've got caves and ruins. I mean, you could adventure in fortresses, and castles, but I don't think a group of adventurers is going to be storming castles and fortresses. So I think under fortress we'll do type and we'll X out castles. So fortress, that'll be a subtable. Type castle, keep, fort, etc. We need to eliminate this one. Alright, we need a feature. Alright, DMG, let's get some inspiration. Flip through the DMG, what do we got? Ooh, monastery would be good for fortress. Monastery. What could be a hex feature? So I don't want to put things like tribes, like Goblin Tribe or anything like that, because that will be determined by a random encounter. So as a random encounter, I could roll a tribe is in the area. So I don't want that to be on like a features table. Let's see here. What is a good bridge? Bridge as a feature? No, but I'm gonna need a bridge. I'm gonna need a bridge for river sections. They're gonna need bridges. So let me go to here, I'd say. Don't know how I'm going to do that. Question mark there. So that can be a bridge. So if I roll bridge, and I'll have to determine the type it is, and that will also create a feature. A chasm or a river. Canyon. Alright. I guess etc. I can't think of anything else that a bridge would be built over. Okay. We've got fortresses, ruins, bridges, coasts, rivers, caves, natural wonders, crafted wonders, ancient battlefield, natural resource. Ancient battlefield could be under ruin, honestly. Alright, let's keep looking. We're looking for inspiration for features. What could possibly be a feature? I can't think of anything. I would like to have more than 11. More than 11 possibilities here. Because if I roll 3 features, what am I going to roll? There's not enough. Let's see here. Nothing's really sparking any inspiration here. I might have to switch over to the 3rd edition Dungeon Master's Guide and see what I can get from that. Yeah. Yes. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and bring up the DMG 3rd edition. What do we got here? Just look at the table of contents. That might be enough. I don't know, maybe I'm out. There's probably like an obvious one that I can't think of. Let's check the DMG 2. 2 Dungeon Master Guides. For some reason 3rd edition needed 2 of them. Let's look at this table of contents. There's a rumors and hooks. I can look through that. Yeah, I'm just not. Nothing's really striking me. I need more though. I can't just have 11. 11 is not good enough. Let's check out these adventure hooks. Maybe there's something in there. Nothing's striking me here. Yeah, I got nothing. Wall. That would be under Crafted Wonder. Statue obelisk. Great Wall. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I don't have a number 12 just yet. Alright, well there it is. Features. Okay, so we start in a hex. We'll probably start in a hamlet or a village or something. Most likely on the coast. Okay. I'm going to use 4-mile hexes. Alright. So now, just to make sure I'm good here. Oh, I needed marshes. Some way to have a swamp. That would be underwater. We'll say percentage chance. What is it? Not 50. 25% chance to include a swamp. Alright, so possibility to have swamps on any one of those. 25% chance is a swamp in the hex. Okay. Here, add 10%, add plus 25% chance of swamp if a swamp would be checked for. I don't know if that's how you'd say that, but so add plus 25% chance of a swamp if a swamp would be checked for. Normally. I think I'd understand what that means. Also, if in a coastal hex, there will be a marsh. Water marsh. All right. There we go. So, if there's depression, and we're checking for swamp, which is any one of these water features, we add 25% to the chance of a swamp. That makes sense. Also, if there is a coastal hex, if in a coastal hex, there will be a saltwater marsh, because you can't have below sea level, basically. Otherwise, it's going to fill with the sea. And then that'll be a marsh of some sort. That works. Alrighty. Alright, so I want caves to exist in mountains, clearly. We'll have that be a pound symbol. We'll give that a percentage. Say in a 4 mile, we'll say 25%. So say 1d3 cave systems. Three cave features. In addition to any existing features. Okay, so now we've got the possibility for mountains to contain cave features, which makes sense. Let's say 15% chance hills or 30% mountains. A 15 or 30% chance of a D3K features. Alright, that works. Plains are plains. Don't need to do anything there. Alrighty. Right here, that's messed up. There we go. Okay. So we need another sort of column here for getting lost checks. We also have to determine what getting lost looks like. let me look in the there's rules for getting lost in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Let's go ahead and just take a peek here. Page 86. This is the 3rd edition, or 3.5. 86. Here we go. Alright, there is getting lost rules, and everything on this table will be able to correspond to this getting lost rules here. Effects of being lost. Okay. Yeah, but you're hex crawling, so getting lost is like, what's it matter? You're basically getting yourself lost to find out what's going on. Okay, let's see here. All right, so I think we're good. Good there. So we can just use the getting lost rule straight out of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Possibly come up with my own rules later. So we don't need to do anything there. Alright, as for vegetation, we're going to need a category here for survival checks. Let me read the rule on the survival check really quick. Let's see what the base is. I think it's a DC 10. It's your base, and then every 2 points over or something along those lines, you get to feed one person. So let's go ahead and mess with that. There we go. Okay. So you roll a DC 10, and you can basically feed yourself. Also water yourself. Alright, so what we'll do is we will say up here under notes, food or water. So vegetation And wildlife will affect food, and obviously water will affect water. So in a desert, you're getting a minus 20. 20 to survival. And for sparse vegetation, we'll say minus 10. Grasslands, we'll say minus 5. And then no change. And no change. Okay. Now, as for water, it is, geez, let's see. If it's dry, we're going to do another minus 20. And springs only, we'll say minus 10. Then we have a minus 5. It's basically, no, it won't be exactly the same. Small streams and ponds, minus 5 to survival. And these will be automatically find water. There we go. So, all right, so, and then wildlife, we're going to need to, if the vegetation, so I need some of these other tables to affect other tables as well. So, basically, if the vegetation's a desert and there's desolate wildlife, you're not finding food. Let's see, a ranger with 20 ranks in survival, and a 20 wisdom gets plus 5, so you're getting plus 25 to your check. Is that even possible to find food? It's not even possible to find food if there's desolate. So maybe let's taper these checks a bit. Let's go 15 there. 10 and 5. Yeah, that looks good. Same thing here. No, we'll leave that though. We'll leave the water one as is. Yeah, we'll leave the water one as is. But for wildlife, we'll do minus 15. Basically what we did up here. 2 survival checks. Minus 10 to 5 to Or maybe no change on this. Let's see here. How about we do it -10, -5, and then no change, and no change. Okay. Oops, gotta. All right, so now we need to I need a subtable for solitary and scattered. These need subtables. Let's look in the DMG for scattered. Maybe I won't have that be subtables. Or better yet, nah, I think, oops. Alrighty. I need the water to affect the level of vegetation for a hex. That makes sense. And then the amount of vegetation will affect the wildlife. That also makes sense. Yeah, all right. So, over here, let's say if it's dry, you're not getting forest at all. So let's go ahead and say minus how am I going to do this? So if it's dry, the vegetation what can I subtract from the vegetation roll if it's dry? Deserts beget other deserts. I could also have the vegetation affect the water level as well for specifically desert. Yes, that way we can have it be small streams and ponds be the maximum, so minus 50, we'll say. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and put an asterisk here. Equals 50% from water roll. Okay. So if you're in a desert, you're getting a minus 50 from your water roll, which will put you at the best small streams and ponds. Maybe minus 45. Maybe minus 55. Yeah, we'll do minus 55. No, we'll do minus 50. Minus 50 works. Which means that this number can go as low as 60. Minus 60 is possible, and 110 is possible. Now, for up here, we need minus what from vegetation if you're in a dry area? I want grasslands to be the maximum, so at least minus 40. Minus 40 to veg roll. Alrighty. And I would like for that we want also, you're not getting much more than, at best you're getting grasslands. So this can actually drop to a negative 90. So springs only. You know what? We'll go minus 60. All right. And then springs only will be minus 40. To veg roll. Okay. Small streams and ponds won't affect the roll for. Won't affect the roll for vegetation. Maybe I have them be the same. Just a minus 50 roll for if it's dry or springs only. Yeah, we'll do it that way. That makes more sense. Then I don't have to differentiate. Oops. There we go. So instead, we'll do pound sign, pound sign, and pound sign equals minus 50% to vegetation. Roll. There we go. So if it's dry or springs only, you're getting a minus 50% to the vegetation roll. And if it's sparse, pound. Equals, and what will desert and sparse give you? So we want it halfway from average. So there's 50 possible for average. So 25 less than 70 is 45. So we want minus 65. Yeah, minus 65. I think we just do 50% again. Yeah, minus 50%. Percent from wildlife roll. Okay. Now we want... That's it. That's all we need there. So now we need a civilization subtable. For roads. So that's got to be its own table. Okay, so that'll be its own table. Number of roads exiting hex. That is a table all of its own. And we need, let's see here. Number of roads exiting a hex. So it's going to be one road, two roads, and that'll include the road that possibly you came in on. So there can be a maximum of 6 roads. 4 roads, 5 roads, 6 roads. There could be a road exiting 6 hex faces. Okay, so we will say 6 roads exiting a hex is going to be extremely unlikely. We'll say 99 to 100. We'll say 97, no, 96 to 98. Now we'll say 95 to 98. No. We'll say 100. And then we'll say 98, 99. And then we'll do 4, which would be 95 through 97. No, that's only 3. 94 through 97. That's 4. Then 8 would be what? 90, 86 through 93. if it was terminating, which is one road, it terminates the road basically. And that will be, let's see here. %, and that will mean 16 through 85 would be 2 roads. So road you came in on, probably, and then one more exiting. And we can let's see here. Now we need to determine the modifier for number of roads exiting hexes. So if there's no civilization, nope, doesn't matter. Let's see. All right, so civilization. So if there's no civilization, there still could be a road, but that would be determined. It would be one road. This is just the number of roads exiting essentially a thorp or a hamlet or a town or a village or whatever. So none would be nothing. It doesn't have an effect. Solitary would be nothing. That wouldn't have an effect. If there happens to be a road, it'll just be along the road. Same thing with scattered. If there happens to be a road, the scattered farmsteads will probably just be along it, or not at all. Thorp, on the other hand, there's probably not going to be 6 roads exiting a thorp. So if we do minus 70%, yes, minus 70. That gives us basically a 50-50 chance of a thorp being the end of the road. No, I don't like that. I don't want it to be 50-50, so we'll say minus 70. No, 55. Oops, already have percent down. So that would give me up to possibly a 45. Yeah, all right, that's good. And here, actually, we have to go, so 55 is the lowest, so negative 55. Negative 55 till 15 is good. Okay. And a hamlet. We can add, what, another 30 to that? Minus 25. Yeah, minus 25. And village be minus 10. Town or city minus 5. And then a city won't affect the roll. Let's do the pound symbol. Instead of there, we'll have it here. So that way you don't roll for roads exiting if it's scattered, solitary, or none. Only to number of roads exiting X. What did I just do? You know what I haven't done in a little while here? I haven't saved this, so I probably should do that. Okay. Let me go ahead and file, save as. Let's save it as random hex generator. Rough draft. We can save that right to the desktop. Okay, so we saved it. Good. All right, so now we need to. So we got roads exiting hexes. We got the way for roads to exit hexes. Let me write over here. Determine a hex exit for a feature. I won't write feature, I'll write road for a road, coast, river, or lake. There we go. So roads, coasts, rivers, or lakes don't end, with the exception of a river's obviously going to end if it hits a coast. And a road will end possibly if it hits, if it like ends at a thorp or something. Then it'll end. Oh wait, we need yeah. That works. Okay. Do I need any other subtables? What else is there? So how do we determine? So for these civilizations, so for these thorps, hamlets, villages, what have you, I'm going to need some sort of table for the solitary and the scattered. So let's see. Under campaign chapter in the DMG 3rd edition, I believe under the world building portion, there's generating towns. And this gives you the population of a thorp through city. So we need another symbol. What, the @ symbol? So there's large and small and large towns and small and large cities. So what we need to do is Food. Large. Okay, there we go. So towns and cities comes in large and small. All right. We will use straight out of this book. Straight out of the DMG will generate the actual town or village. So I don't need to do, I mean, maybe later I can add that in my own version, but for now that'll work. Let's see. Let me I want to copy this straight over. Copy. I want to copy that over here and see what happens. Oh yeah, several errors. So that doesn't work, does it? No. There'll be no copy paste here. Vegetation was spelled wrong. Forward was spelled wrong. Okay. Well, let's just delete that mess. So I'll have to type everything in again. But honestly, we can use this rough draft here for the time being. I can print that straight out as is, I believe. How's that look? Doesn't say. Is it page setup? No. All right. Let's see here. All right. Well, we got a decent amount of work for the generator here. We can probably stop for now. Definitely can add more to this for sure, but this gives me like a base to work with. One thing I want to probably should figure out these here. Oh, I need a number here. All right, well, let's go ahead and come up with a percentage here. All right, let's just give it, so we have 11. Let's just give, let's see, bridges, say they get 2. Coast will get, no, bridges will get 1. Coast will get 2. River will get 3. Yeah, 3 for a river. Ancient Battlefield can get a 1. Resource can get a 3. Natural Wonder gets a 1. Man-Made Wonder gets a 1. Actually, we'll have a Natural Wonder get a 2. Caves will get 5. Ruins will get 5. Roads will get 10. Alright, what's that put us at? It's 22, 3, 20, 33. We're in like the 35. So we'll triple all these numbers. Triple everything. So 30, 15, 6, 15, 3, 15, 9, 6, 3, 3, 9. And that gets us what? 45, 51, 66, 69, 69 and 15 is 84. Hold on. That doesn't sound right. 60, okay. Math has failed me. So 51 plus 18 plus 15 plus 15. We got one more point. Where can we put that other point? We'll say under river. So, and let's go ahead and remove 1 point there. So we got a point we got to add. Let's get rid of, that's fine. That's fine. Alright, oh, that's fine. So, 1 through 30. 31 through 45. 46 through 51. 52 through 66. 67 through 69. 70 through, let's see, that'd be 84. That's not right. Also not right. Where'd I mess up? $30 plus 15. I have to do it freaking one at a time. 6, 15, 3, 15, 10, 6, 3, 2, 10. I'm over by 15%. There's 11. Let's see. It's 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. See if that works. So that brings us to 43. 43 to 48. 49 to, okay, this will bring us to 62. 63 through 64. 65 to 77. 78 to 87. Still 1 point over. Okay, 88 through 91. 88 through 90. 91. 92. 93 through 100. There it is. Okay. Then I need to put subtables for each of these. Fortress, Ruin, Bridge, Natural Wonder, Crafted Wonder, and Natural Resource. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. There's nothing affects the number of features rule. It is what it is. Alright, what else do I need to do? I think I got a working table, working chart here. Now I'm worried that I'll get stuck into a desert rut here. I'll keep getting desert. Dog wants to get into the room with my wife. He usually gets to sleep on the bed and does not like that he doesn't get to sleep on the bed. All right, well, we're gonna end the stream here. I think we did a pretty good job so far of a random hex generator. Things we need to do. We need to figure out what all these features do, basically. Honestly, we can do it as we play. This is a good base, so let's go ahead and save this. And replace. Alright, we're good. Let's exit out of here, exit out of here. And we can do that later. Alright, well, thanks for everybody who showed up. A couple people did pop in. Oop, there's the dice. Boom. Blank screen. Thanks for everybody who showed up. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow to actually play the solo D&D adventure. And I think we're going to do a hex crawl. I got a basic hex crawl generator, so we'll work with that, and we'll work with whatever books we have. There's some information in the Dungeon Master's Guide and Player's Handbook and stuff. So using all that stuff, we'll go ahead and see what we can do. So hopefully I'll be back tomorrow night to play some solo D&D.